Hey, thank you all for tuning back in. It's Trade with Ellie with all things trade and travel related. So if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. I appreciate it. Thank you for liking, for commenting, and for subscribing. I'm gonna tell you right now, because I do want to hear your opinion on this. So today I want to dive into a whole bunch of travel information. See, travel is now back on the forefront. Everything's opening up. I'm super excited, but it's important for us to make sure that we're traveling safely and we're taking care of ourselves. We're doing what we need to do to make sure we can have a fun, safe travel, and we're protecting ourselves during these travel. So when we're on these websites and we're looking up for our travel tickets, right before we book, there's this big question that we're always asked, right? Add travel protection. And a lot of us skip right over that, right? Add travel protection. And the answer should always be yes. Not that, no, I'm not, I don't want to protect myself, or, whatever answers they give you. Click yes, right? It's about $20 on average most of the time for added travel protection, but it's going to go a long way because it covers a number of different things. Now, specifically the travel insurance that you should pick, should make sure that it just covers what you need. So importantly, right, most travel insurance is going to cover delayed flights, lost luggage, late baggage, any disruption, interruption in your trip, which is amazing and important. Now, the other thing that's super important is that now a lot of flights have added COVID-19 travel protection. And that's super important because a lot of countries are now requiring for you to have travel protection as part of your entry, right? Allowing you, making sure that you have travel protection as part of your entry into their country. So for those of you who are going to different countries, make sure that you're checking and you understand, what is being required, if you have to take, certain tests, but more importantly, if you need travel insurance. At this point in time, travel insurance should not be an option. It should be a requirement for all of us personally, right? Because it's super important to make sure that we're being secured, right? You don't want to go somewhere and end up getting sick by accidentally contracting COVID, or just, missing your flight, whatever the case is, and not having any type of protection to cover costs or to, reduce costs for you. Right? So having that travel protection is super, super important and necessary. So something I used to do was only take travel protection when I would go out the country. But at this point in time, it's super important for me to get it inside the country, right? Whether you have gotten the vaccine for COVID or not, it doesn't matter because you can still contract it. So the worst thing is to go on vacation and to end up, getting sick and not having travel protection in case you have to go to the hospital, or if you have to, spend excess money on meds or whatever the case is. Now, make sure you're looking through that travel protection and you understand what's actually being covered, in the information. That's something that's super, super important. But because it says that it's covering COVID-19, that means that it should be covering a number of things, right? So let's definitely check and make sure that it has that feature for sure 100%, because we know that COVID is not going anywhere and it's here to stay, right? And so being that all the issues and things that a lot of flights have had during COVID, a lot of flights aren't going the same routes that they used to. There's a lot of flights that are not doing direct, and we're having to do all these connections, right? So something can happen where you do miss a connecting flight, or it gets delayed, it gets canceled, right? You do want to have that covered. Now, there's different types of travel insurance, so make sure that you're getting something that has, that allows you to be insured up to $100,000 or more, right? And that's more so for health, and when it becomes like a matter of life or death thing, God forbid. But at the same time, you want to be safe and you want to kind of be prepared for what can happen. A lot of travel insurance, right, can also come through your credit card. So for me, I'm lucky enough where my credit card company has travel insurance, travel protection. So I definitely go through that and read and see, what it actually covers, so I know if I want to get additional travel insurance outside of the coverage I already have, or if I don't need it, right? So then I can actually select that no, because I do still in fact have travel insurance. You can add travel insurance at any given moment, before your trip, during your trip, but you definitely want to make sure that you have it. And it's covering that duration until you return. It's super, super important. So if you don't get it right away, at least get it right before you leave. Either way, it'll cover, the point in time between you leave and come back. If you get it from the day of booking, it should cover some issues that you may have, or, trip cancellation or date changes, regarding to your booking, which is necessary because we don't really know what the circumstances are or what can happen. Fortunately, a lot of airlines are allowing you to change, you know, your flights without having to get that added fee. If anything, you know, you're paying the price difference. So that kind of helps if you decide that you're not going to be getting travel insurance until, you know, the day of potentially when you're getting on that flight. But either way, nonetheless, it's super, super important. There were a number of times where I was fortunate enough to have travel insurance, and I want you to understand how that played out for me, because it's not something I really thought would happen. We always think, oh, this is not going to happen to me. Oh, that's not going to happen. What are the odds? What are the odds? No, you don't know what the odds are, right? It's still 50-50. No matter how big or small the odds are, it really is still 50-50. So once upon a time, I was going to meet my sister in Uganda, right? That's in East Africa. And I was going to be there for a duration of 5 days before we were going to be going to the next country. My luggage did not make it to my destination. I was 5 days without my luggage. Yes, you heard that right. And this was the first time I ever This is the first time I ever packed my luggage poorly. Normally I keep certain essentials in my carry-on, my backpack with me, because I always carry a backpack, check-in bag. And so I did not do that. I was kind of rushing, and I didn't repack or fix my stuff. And so I had all my stuff in my check-in, including medication, like everything important. The only thing I really had on me was my ID, charger, maybe headphones, like really nothing. And I actually needed to take malaria pills. You have to take them a certain amount of time, certain days or whatever, to make sure that you don't get sick and different things like that. So there were medication that I needed to take strictly for my travel because of what we were going to be doing out there that I didn't have. And fortunate for me, because I was meeting my sister, she actually had extra pills that I can take until my bag arrived. And she had spare clothes I could wear. Luckily, we wear the same size, so I was able to wear her clothes. I didn't have an extra pair of clothes, which normally I do pack. But one thing I didn't realize that my travel insurance actually covered was also the fact that I could have actually went on a full-on shopping spree because I had nothing, right? So I could have went and bought new clothes, considering I needed clothes for those days, and I would have been reimbursed fully, you know, up into a certain amount. But honestly, I could have went crazy. So that's something I wish I would have known, because I definitely would have taken advantage of that. And you know, I was on vacation, so I really would have taken advantage of that, especially since I didn't have anything, you know, to wear. So that's something now I know, so I'm not gonna, you know, lose my mind. Like, I was really losing my mind. I had everything I needed in there, but it's like, you know, it's our stuff, it's your personal stuff, so you're still gonna feel some type of way. And I literally got my bag just a few hours before I had to head back to the airport to go to our next destination. So that was super, super crazy. But it's like, what happens if I was in a situation and I had to, you know, go buy the meds, and I had to go get clothes, and I had to go get this, that, and the third, right? I actually would have had to spend my money, and they would have to reimburse me because I had insurance to protect me in case my bag got lost, or in case my bag, you know, got super delayed, which it did, right? It was pretty much both. And so my travel insurance definitely protected me against that. They actually, since I didn't spend any money, right, they are going to ask you for receipts, guys, so make sure you're aware of that. But since I didn't, you know, end up buying any clothes and stuff, you know, I wasn't reimbursed for that, but I did get money back for the delay and for the disruption of the trip that it cost me, and for my luggage being lost. And they actually gave me that cash, like, into my bank account. So I was fortunate of that. Now, the stuff I went through the 5 days, the headache was a lot, right? The stress of like not knowing if I was gonna get my stuff, like that's something that is a wave. But it was nice to be compensated for some of that. Now, was it enough? That's neither here nor there, but I was able to be compensated. So if your flight is delayed by a certain amount of hours, even if you still get on that flight, you can get money for that. If it's canceled, you can get money. Any trip interruption or disruption can get covered. Now, something that I never expected to happen, that I never thought to even read and see if it even got covered in my travel insurance, and I've used different ones before, was like natural disasters, right? I remember years ago I had booked a flight to go to Bali, and that was the year that their volcano was erupting. And so I was like, you know what, I'm not trying to go, because they were canceling flights. So they were getting people out. So I was like, what happens if I do get on my flight going and I can't leave? Now, in hindsight, I could have went. One of my friends actually made it, and I was just like, it looks fine, she's having a great time, but you know, you never know what's gonna happen. You never know. So that was a chance I wasn't willing to take, like risk my life, because I wanted to go to Bali so bad, in the middle of a volcano erupting and people literally losing their homes, their lives. Like I was just like, I'm not about to put myself in a situation when I'm here in the States safely. Now my friend that was there, she was already out in Asia, so it was kind of different predicament and stuff like that. So she was super fortunate to still be able to go and to enjoy her trip and stuff like that, and to be safe. But for me, it was just me, like it just wasn't smart. I contemplated with for days, just like watching the news, like I can't do this. But my travel insurance actually didn't cover that, and I was just like, who would actually think like, okay, you know, does it cover earthquakes, does it cover tsunami, does it cover tornado, like random stuff, you never know. So now these are things that you don't know is going to happen or be mindful of, but it's like in this situation now I know, like if I'm going to a country that has a volcano, whether it's active or you know it's close or something like that, like I probably actually will now start checking, like okay, this country has a volcano, will it cover this, you know, or if it doesn't, like how can I still get covered? Because sometimes the language, right, you got to read the language and be mindful of what it's saying and what it's omitting, to know if you can still get coverage. But it's like overall on the grand scale of things, right, you definitely wanted to make sure that it covers COVID, you know, 19 protection. You definitely wanted to cover trip delay, baggage delay, you know, late, stuff like that. And definitely be insured at least 100,000 or over when it comes to the matter of life or death kind of thing. And just anything, if you know you're doing something specific on your trip, try to read and see if it also covers it. You're aware you're going in knowing you're fully protected, because if it doesn't cover something small, you never know if you're going to encounter it or not. Like I would have never thought that, you know, I would have encountered that volcano. So now, like, imagine my flight was days early and I actually was out there and I needed to leave, and let's say, you know, I needed to use my travel insurance, but it said, you know, we can't pay for this for you to leave earlier, even if your flight costs X amount of dollars, because it's not protected, right? I would have to pay out of pocket to basically pay for a new ticket. Or if I didn't have insurance, I would have had to pay for a new ticket. So these are circumstances that we don't really think are going to happen, because that's how my mind was before too. Like I would only book travel insurance if I was leaving the country, but not in the States. But now with coronavirus, right, we know it's here to stay. We know it's not going anywhere. And so you can still get it no matter what, whether you're vaccinated or not. And so I can go to another state, or, you know, and be super safe and stuff like that, be on a trip, and, you know, God forbid, you know, still get sick. And then it's like, if you don't have travel insurance because maybe you have to cancel your flight, maybe they won't, you know, they're not going to let you fly if you're sick. You do realize that. So it's like, these are things we kind of have to think about, and we never know. Of course, you always want to think the best, wish the best, but it's like we also have to be safe and secured, and you know, think about the opposite, right, of happening. Like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? Am I covered? You know, luckily enough too, like I've been able to, you know, trip protection for theft, right? That's something that's super important. You never know when you're going to lose items. Someone might rob you or stuff like that. Trip protection can cover that as well. So definitely make sure that you're reading for what it covers, so that you're aware if something happens on your trip, you can definitely, you know, submit in a claim, and you'll be able to get reimbursed either fully or, you know, whatever the case is. But it's always nice to be able to know that you can get full coverage or partial coverage, because it's still better than no coverage. So at the end of the day, make sure you're selecting trip protection. A lot of countries, once again, will be requiring this for flying out to, you know, going to different places, especially with COVID. So it will be required, but make sure that you're protecting yourself by having that insurance. Whether you have it through a third party, whether you're booking it with your ticket, or if you have it through your credit card, right, make sure to check that out and see that it has at least the basic or the basis of what you need based off of what you believe your trip will be like. Now, all that other stuff, right, we never know until it happens. But honestly, you know, make sure that you have trip protection. It's only about $20 on average. So, you know, if you can't add trip protection, you probably shouldn't be taking the trip, because right now it's super, super important and necessary. So I hope that helps you, right? If it did, give you a thumbs up. If you learned something new, put a thumbs up. If there's a certain type of travel insurance you love and prefer, put it in the description below so other people can see. I've used different ones, and so far I've liked all the ones that I use. I normally just use whatever populates, or whatever the airline that I'm booking with is recommending, and I haven't had issues with that. A lot of the times I do rely on the travel insurance that's connected to my credit card most of the time. So definitely, if you have a specific one and it's been working amazing for you, or you needed to do something like unthinkable and it covered that, definitely put it in the description below so other people can definitely, you know, use that. I don't have a specific one, so unfortunately I won't be sharing that in this video, but I will make another one that will give you a list of some of the best ones and why. So make sure to be on the lookout for that. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you for watching.